Would you like to read it up there? Wherever we read it. You have to have the microphone in your. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Sorry.
We're calling this meeting to order. This is City Council regular meeting. We're in City Council chambers. Hallelujah. At 389 Spruce Street. It's Tuesday, May 7th, 2024, and it is 7 p.m. We're calling the meeting to order, and we're asking the clerk if she would please call the roll.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Bonham.
Present.
Bill Kawicki.
Here.
Weezy Michael.
Here.
Danielle Trumbull.
Here.
Dave Harshbarger.
Here.
Brian Butcher.
Here.
Mayor Celine.
Here. You could all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we're to approval of the minutes. We're looking at the April 16, 2024 special meeting minutes, April 16, 2024 regular meeting minutes, April 23rd, 2024 special meeting minutes, and April 30th, 2024 committee of the whole meeting minutes. Does anybody have any additions or corrections? Otherwise, they will stand as written. Correspondence. So what's going to happen tonight is we have different people who are helping us with correspondence, and we're going to start with one that's not on the agenda. So we are.
For those that don't know, about a week ago, we lost George Lease, who was the chair of our Sister Cities Commission. So to start our meeting tonight, we're asking if we just take a moment of silence for him. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
So as we are putting these together, we are going to come up to the podium. We're going to take the microphone out and we're going to read whatever it is that we have. So we're starting off with a certificate of appreciation to the Monongahela County Commission. I'm so used to saying the river, sorry. So, this is our certificate of appreciation, which can only be a small appreciation compared to all of the work that had to happen between our two organizations to make this work. So this is expressing our sincerest gratitude to the Monongahela County Commission on the Monongahela River for the generosity and partnership shown to the city of Morgantown during renovations to City Hall by sharing meeting space, staff, and audiovisual equipment at the Monongahela, I'm going to say it wrong again, County Courthouse. You help the city ensure the public would actively participate in the governance of the city.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
The building looks fantastic. I just want you to know. I was here 37 years ago.
Oh, you can say something into the microphone.
The building looks fantastic. I was here 37 years ago in 1987 when I was on City Council. But the doors, the skylight downstairs, and this room is fantastic. You did a great job. Congratulations.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
So, now we have the National Building Safety Month proclamation. All right. So,
Coming
Drew,
to receive
please.
and
may be worth noting that your camera for online for the podium is that camera.
Oh.
So let's look this way. Whereas the City of Morgantown is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and the essential role of our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code of Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown protectors of public safety, local code officials, who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Mission Possible, the theme for Building Safety Month 2024, encourages us all to raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas each year, in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore I, Danielle Trumbull, on behalf of Jenny Celine, Mayor of the City of Morgantown, West Virginia, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as National Building Safety Month. Accordingly, I encourage our citizens to join us as we participate in Building Safety Month activities.
Yay.
Mayor Celine, Deputy Mayor Abiganam, councilors. It's a pleasure to be here before you tonight in this brand new old building. And what better time to celebrate this proclamation than Building Safety Month and the opening of the new building. So thank you very much. We appreciate, on behalf of the Development Services Department, your continued support for building safety. It's of paramount importance to continue to have a strong building code and enforcement thereof for the continued health, safety, and welfare of the community, and so far as it's concerned with the safe use and occupancy of our buildings and structures. So thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So, Joe, you're on if you'd like. Sorry. So this one is National Police Week proclamation. So yeah, your camera is here apparently.
I was watching, that's the camera.
Okay.
It's been this one and this one. Wherever you want, I think this is probably,
All right.
There are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Morgantown Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, there are currently 24,067 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including 63 members of the Morgantown Police Department. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 282 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 118 officers who lost their lives in 2023 and 164 in previous years. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 36th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2024. And whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of the National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 10th through the 16th. And whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Now therefore, Deputy Mayor Joe Abou-Ganim, on behalf of Jenny Celine, Mayor of the City of Morgantown, West Virginia, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim May 12th through the 19th, 2024 as National Police Week in the City of Morgantown, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and communities across the nation. Thank you.
First, just let me say, on behalf of all the officers that serve in the Morgantown Police Department, as well as all the civilian staff that work so hard to ensure that we provide the best service to the citizens of Morgantown, we greatly appreciate this recognition and this proclamation. I also want to take the opportunity just to let everybody know that here locally we'll also be celebrating and having an official ceremony at the Courthouse Square at 10:45 in the morning on the 15th of May next week. And I also encourage everybody, if you have never actually been to Washington, D.C. during this week, especially around the 15th and for the Candlelight Vigil, it's really worth going to. It's an eye-opener, and it's very moving, and it's a very memorable experience if you have not been. Once again, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it.
So, Bill? Yep. You can read it from wherever you like.
You want to read?
You can just read it from there. You can read it from there.
Is there someone to receive it? Mark?
Yes, come receive
Yes,
it.
of course.
So this is National Preservation Month proclamation.
Let me hobble through this.
We'll both hobble through it together.
Thank you. Whereas the National Trust for Historic Preservation established May as Historic Preservation Month in 1973 as a way to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling national and community pride, promoting heritage tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of historic preservation. And whereas historic preservation is relative for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas Morgantown has consistently shown its dedication to historic preservation through the creation of the Historic Landmarks Commission and by supporting Main Street Morgantown, in which part of its core mission is to preserve our historic downtown, Morgantown, and Wharf districts. And whereas Morgantown has demonstrated its commitment to preservation by renovating what is known today as City Hall, which was originally built in 1924 and served as the city's fire station, complete with a truck house and bunker room, police department with men and women's jails, judge chamber, and housed many other city departments. Renovation included returning the historic facade, including large bay doors, and restoring of the original windows and woodworking, along with modernization of the space to meet today's needs, such as an elevator upgrade, temperature conditioning, and allocation of office spaces. And whereas Historic Preservation Month 2024 is a particular celebration of the city, as the renovation to City Hall are now complete and can be shared with the community, and dedicated to the individuals who have helped to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a person. And now therefore, I, Bill Kuwecki, on behalf of Jenny Celine, Mayor of the City of Morgantown, West Virginia, and on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as National Preservation Month in the City of Morgantown. and call upon our residents to join others across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance, dated this 7th day of May in the year of 2024.
Thank you, sir. All right, awesome. Thank you all for the proclamation, and what a day to, I mean, did you all plan the construction schedule this way? To Drew's point, to see Drew and Tom and just all of the celebration of all the efforts that have gone in this and the alignment of it. Downtown and the Wharf were born out of this community, and the origins of this community were the original places where our community and our neighborhoods came together as one, and they are gathering places. And the historic buildings represent our culture and our history, and it's just critically important that we preserve those. We can't have a thriving community without a thriving downtown and a thriving wharf. So we appreciate the acknowledgement and the proclamation. Thank you very much for all your support.
So if the clerk would please come up and, yep. Thank you. Councilor Ashberger.
Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world and is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all levels, and whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through the participation in education, programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Therefore, now be resolved that I, Dave Harshbarger, on behalf of Jenny Celine, Mayor of Morgantown, West Virginia, on behalf of council on this 7th day of May, do hereby recognize the week of May 5th through the 11th, 2024 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerks and to all the municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
As your clerk, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for letting me serve you. Thank you for letting me serve the community. It's not about administrative tasks. It's about fostering a sense of community and progress and a welcoming community. So thank you. I hope we've done that for you.
So, the last one. So Cinco de Mayo proclamation. Brian Butcher's going to come up. And he has two of them for two different groups.
Do we have a representative? Okay, yes. Oh, okay. From Sister Cities?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
Yeah, well, come on up. This is a multiple
Yeah.
group proclamation.
I'm going to read it once, but there's two. Okay. So, whereas Cinco de Mayo is a significant date in Mexican history and is celebrated annually by Mexican Americans to recognize their heritage, and whereas, according to the 2020 census, over 1,000 Morgantown residents reported their ethnicity as Mexican, demonstrating the community's cultural diversity, and whereas Cinco de Mayo commemorates victory at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862, where, as part of its ongoing struggle for Mexican self-rule, 4,000 ill-equipped Mexican soldiers defeated 8,000 well-trained and provisioned troops of the Second French Empire. And whereas the city of Morgantown has maintained a relationship with Mexico since 2008, when it established a sister city accord with the city of Guanajuato. Is my Guanajuato? Okay. Yeah. This accord involves a diplomat exchange program for high school students since 1990. WVU has a student faculty exchange program with Guanajuato. And whereas residents of Morgantown celebrate Mexican culture on Cinco de Mayo with food, arts, crafts, and music, providing all community members with opportunities to appreciate Mexican history and culture. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the City of Morgantown, along with the Human Rights Commission and Sister City Commission, proclaims May 5th the observance of Cinco de Mayo in the city of Morgantown, West Virginia, and encourages all residents to celebrate the day in honor and to honor Mexican American culture and heritage.
Who did you pay off with the shortest one? This is the first time I'm aware of, in my time anyway, that the Human Rights Commission has done a joint proclamation with anybody, and this time in Sister Cities. And George Lees was the first person I contacted, because that's the first name I had. And I know that he worked on it pretty close until the end, as at his memorial service on Saturday. Talked to his wife. As long as he could, he was still working on it. I told him to stop, he wouldn't. But he's been very active in the community, and we, at least on the part of Human Rights Commission, want to dedicate this to Mr. Lees. And so I've got somebody here from Sister City Commissions to speak as well.
You already say everything. So I'm so happy with this. Your list, amazing, a friend forever. So I love to work with the sister cities. And that's it.
Thank you.
So we are on to unfinished business, boards and commissions. I believe we have at least one, if not. Anyway.
My main nominee, Rachel Barron, for the Traffic Commission. This is the first board representative.
Acclamation?
Yep.
Okay. Pardon, usually I know the number, but tell me today, are there any others? I don't think there are this time.
Not that I see.
All right, thank you. Just want to double check. All right. Now we're on to the public portion, which shall be subject to rules established by council and adopted by resolution. So you would come to the podium. I'll read your name. If you didn't get a chance to put your name on the list, you still can speak today. So we just go through these names, and then we try to make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak. So if you still would like to speak, you're welcome to. So we're starting with Cassidy Thompson today. You are the first speaker in our newly renovated building.
I am Cassidy Thompson. Richard C., Mary Rose, Darian Lipscomb, Johnny Daft, Janice Wagner, Joey Ketterman, James Voss, Jennifer Sturms, Chuck Derby, Gloria Young, Sydney Farber, William Wild Bill Steinborn, Benny Rogers, Mark Ashcraft, Ray Fabiano, James Weaver, Rebecca Colgan, Kevin Thompson, Terry Rhodes, Rudy Ruttencutter, Bobby Joe Hart, Nikki Rose, Kenny Johnson, Frankie Johnson, Donna May, Luke Brown, Ron Edwards, Sherry Blackley, aka Pocahontas, Shane Merrill, Bill Elliott, Richard Lombardo, Jeff Bain, David Standridge, Valerie Marable, Keith Levengood, Jerry Schultz, Brian Green, Daniel Fortney, Robert Delauder, The names read are individuals who have lost their lives either while living outside of Morgantown in spaces not meant for human habitation or as a result of living in those spaces for far too long. These names are more than just numbers. They represent human beings who were failed by our city's response to homelessness. Human beings who were someone's child, sibling, parent, or friend. All human life is worth saving. These deaths are the result of policies intended to police homelessness in our city instead of allowing the system in place to work or enhancing it. Our elected officials sit here tonight to serve all of us, not just those who are easy to serve. Our friends and neighbors who have died as a result of unnecessary prolonged homelessness no longer have a voice, and tonight, after the statement is read, we intend to remain silent to honor them in solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Means.
Good evening, I'm Carol Means. I am the director of the Greek Christian Missions, which is a interdenominational Christian nonprofit group. It was started by Dr. George Trafiades in 1983, and in 1987 we started having monthly meetings for the homeless and the people that were food insecure. Right now, we meet once a month. The meeting lasts about 2 hours. We start at 9:30, we finish around 11:30, and then we have to clean up, of course. We have a small interdenominational Christian meeting, and then someone cooks a home-cooked, sit-down hot meal with dessert, and then we have tables set aside after everyone has eaten with donated clothing, and the clothing is in excellent condition or barely used, and they have free access to those. So we change out the clothing depending on the season. In the winter, it's blankets, coats, shoes, boots, sweaters. Right now, it's sandals, tennis shoes, Bermuda shorts, tops, some long pants, jackets, things like that. The reason that we're here is, the reason that I'm here is that we're very concerned with the possible closing of Bartlett House Solutions. And the people that we deal with, their needs are food, clothing, shelter, medical, and a support system. And most of the people that we encounter do not have a support system. They're here on their own. If you ask them, they come from a broken family, or their parents are passed away, or they were adopted, or because of addiction, they no longer have any, they don't speak with their family. And so when a crisis occurs, or they have some type of a desperate need, they can't call mom or dad or uncle so-and-so. And so it becomes very, very traumatizing to them to be on their own. One of the things I wanted to mention is that some of the people that we have are veterans, and some are going to WVU. Now, these are people at Bartlett House, or some that are on the street. Some may be in apartments, whatever. They have medical, in some cases, life-threatening conditions, and they have to go to WVU for their treatments. And because they don't have any money, they can't stay in a hotel or a motel. And if Bartlett House is filled, or the emergency shelter is filled, they're out on the street. And if they can get a bus pass, they'll use the bus pass to get into WVU. Some of them walk. And I know this for a fact because there's a handful of people that this has occurred with. The reason that we believe that the Bartlett House Solutions is very important. It's been here since 1983, and it's essential to the people that we deal with on a monthly basis. Okay. So we're asking you to please consider supporting Bartlett House, because if we lose it, it's going to be devastating for downtown. West Run has 70 beds. The Bartlett House at Hope, I believe, has 28 or 27. So that's a potential 98 additional people that are going to be on the street. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mary Ann Foltz.
Hi guys, I'm Celia Lyle. Mary Ann Foles. I live on Bloody Run Road. So it's good to see you guys again. I'm here, well, I was going to talk about the panhandling thing, and I'll tell you what's going on in my neighborhood, which is down off of Hornbeck Road. And I know that there's a pending lawsuit, and a lot of that has to do with folks who stand at Hornbeck Road. And there are two safety concerns that me and the individuals who live in my neighborhood have with regard to that. Number one, folks are standing in the middle of the road. I have seen people, there's someone standing there right now. I've seen people standing there in the pouring rain, in the snow. I've seen people there at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, standing in the road. You cannot see someone's sign when those are the conditions someone's standing with. So it's not about freedom of speech. This is about folks standing in the middle of the road. I have had to swerve around individuals on more than one occasion to avoid hitting them. So, you know, I understand you're going to read the proclamation, or well, not the proclamation, but the consider to repeal the code on solicitation in the roads. I would ask that, you know, go ahead and repeal that, but then turn right around and pass the one that the county has put in place. I will also tell you that I'm possibly responsible partly for your lawsuit, because I have on multiple occasions called when I've seen people there standing in bad weather and in the, you know, in the dark at dusk. It's very dangerous, and I've had the police come out on multiple occasions to have folks not stand there. So I would ask from that particular safety measure, that's what I request you all do. Second issue we have in that neighborhood is because people come to that intersection, many of them do not go to Bartlett House. It's only a half a mile away, but they come and they camp out in the wooded area around there. And the road that I live on is down over the hill from Walmart. I actually have an individual living in a building that I own, that I paid for, that I pay taxes for, and there's someone living there right now. All I can do is try to get a camera and find him and have the police come when he's there. So while individuals have a right to, you know, hold up a sign, that's fine, but I also have a right to be able to use my own property and not have to worry about, is there someone living there who has decided to, you know, stand in that particular area because it's a popular area, there's a Walmart there, and then go and trespass on someone else's property. So that's my perspective. I also want to let you know, you know, Run County Commission, fully supportive of trying to have the county help you all, well, I shouldn't even say help you all, work with the city and resolve this homeless issue. It's a problem for all of us. I actually live in the county. My situation is in the county. So I see this as a situation that together we need to be able to help solve. So thank you. And I'm actually done 30 seconds early. Thanks.
Thank you. Jill Ware?
Hi, my name is Jill Ware. So I work with Carol with the Greek missions, and also St. John's University Parish has a Saturday and Sunday food thing going on. Our Saturday is Bible and a breakfast. So basically, we just open up our space in Newman in the basement, and we have a couple who cook breakfast for anybody who wants to show up, and we spend time talking to people, like really asking them how they're doing and hearing their stories. And then I do the same thing actually at the Greek missions once a month as well. So let me tell you what I'm hearing. People who are hanging out here being homeless, by and large, are either addicted to something, something that they really can't control their addiction towards. And there's an awful lot of drugs coming into our town. I mean, yeah, sure, the college students are an attractive market for drugs, and the people who have far less resources than college students get caught up in that. And you know the whole opioid thing. So we have a lot of people who come from opioid addicted families who as kids saw their parents dysfunctional. So now we're in the second generation, or maybe even the third. So here's what they want. I will tell you what they want. They want a place to safely stow their stuff, like lockers that can be closed and locked, because they have to carry all their stuff around. If they do not carry their stuff around, if they leave it in a campsite or on the street or behind a bush or whatever it is, because they have no housing, generally they are stolen from, and they lose their IDs, and they lose all the stuff that they had gathered together, tents, all that stuff, clothes, and it's very disorienting. I don't know if any one of you has ever lost their wallet. Raise your hand if you've lost your wallet. Lost your wallet. How did that feel? Kind of uncomfortable, right? You had to do a lot of messing around to get another one. I know people who've lost their identification 5, 6, 7 times. And yes, it's true that if you're a drug addict, much of your time is kind of out to lunch, so you don't even know, you're not attached to your stuff. But it's still incredibly difficult to walk around without ID. You can't do anything really. Okay, so they want a place to safely stow their stuff. There's another thing. They want showers. I mean, I know that, first world country, man, we all love our showers. I mean, take a shower every day, don't you, man? I do at least every other day, but I'm dubious. Okay, so showers, and laundry, and the bus. So 4 things that they would like to have that would make their lives easier. Oh, there's one more, camping out. They would love to have a place to camp out. Now I heard all about the whole camping out thing that happened, was it last summer? Can't remember.
A couple summers ago.
Yeah, so people died, overdoses, crime, people got beat up. That was not a safe place. So what can we do to make a safe place for summer living for the homeless? Now, winter living for homeless, like Carol says, it's about the Bartlett House. So think about that stuff. Thanks.
Thank you. Shirley Robinson. Hi, Shirley.
Hello, Mayor Sling and Council. I'm here to just briefly discuss about the Bartlett House. Well, first of all, I'm also a local pastor, and every Saturday I volunteer my time to feed the homeless. And my encounter with the homeless, some are homeless because of life circumstances. And there are others who are homeless, it's by choice, because they're getting a free ride. So my concern is that we need to come together as City Council, community, our local pastors, and try to combat this problem. because it is a problem. And we need to educate the homeless, because I tell them, if you're able to work, then you should work. Don't have your hand out all the time. Sometimes you do need a handout. You need help. But if you don't, let's educate the homeless on how to be productive citizens. Because we don't know, anybody in here, life circumstances could come our way and change our life in a moment. What are we going to do? What would you do? So I think that we need to try to come together, our local pastors, the community, and try to combat this problem. Because we've talked about community. The rich are our community, our middle class, our homeless. They are our community. So we need to educate them and help fight this problem. We can't fight a problem, this person going that way, this person going another. We have to come together and reason together to get something accomplished. You know, being a local pastor, God doesn't look at the high and mighty and the lowly any different. We're all equal. I said, if we sin, I tell people there's not a big sin, there's not a little sin. All sin is sin in the eyes of the Lord. So let us come together and help combat this problem. Working together works. And the young lady, a couple before Carol spoke, she was listing names. Well, one of those names was my cousin, who passed away. We were all raised in a godly home. My cousin made a choice not to do the right thing. She had the choice to do right, and she didn't. I've reached out to her and told her what God said, but I can't make anyone do anything. It has to be a choice. If we want to be a success, we have to make a choice to be successful, and we have to come together to do it, because working against each other will not work. A house divided cannot stand, and this community, this city cannot stand divided. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Dunn.
Good evening, everybody. I, too, am part of this group back here that's talking about the homeless in favor of helping them. It is a problem, but we can't just close our eyes and ignore it. These people are people. We all know the cost of things. It's so expensive to live. Some of us are just like 3-4 paychecks away from being homeless. You all here, I don't know you, but I'm sure you've got some good ideas. If we could all get together and brainstorm, how can we help them? They all have stories, just like my friend said. If you could just sit down and listen to some of their stories, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. These people have feelings. You know, the Bible says, too, to reach out to help people that are poor, the widows, the orphans. We're a community, a great community. We all have a voice. They want a voice. We're here to be their voice tonight. We can't just ignore them. We can't just make them go away. A couple Saturdays ago, I was down at the place where we fed them lunch, and I talked to this boy that was like 23, most handsome boy, beautiful blue eyes, just melted my heart. He's addicted. He said, Barb, I want to get free. I want to go to rehab. but I can't get free. And he's just crying. And I'm just hugging him like a mama would. And my heart just goes out to them. If we could just come together as a group. Yeah, we don't want them out there panhandling. I know it's dangerous, like the lady said. There's lots of things, but you know what? We got smart brains. God gave us all smart brains, and there's something we could do. Look at all these empty houses. Could we maybe get some halfway houses? You know, could we put some people in different places and assign them maybe a caseworker of some kind to help them fill out application, to help maybe come up with some vans to help them get where they need to get? I do Bible studies with some people over at Brookhaven, and I hear their stories. A lot of them want another start, but it's like they can't get there. They can't get a job because some of them don't have an address. Or they just need some training, like my friend said. They need some skills. Some of them have such mental problems they can't, but a lot of them do. This one guy has been trying to get his driver's license for a year, and every time he calls and leaves a message like he was told to do, they will not call him back. They won't. And I'm like, maybe you need to get a lawyer, Wade. He's like, I don't have money, Barb, for a lawyer. I don't know what to do. So anyway, I know my time's almost up. I appreciate you hearing me, but please hear my heart. Hear the heart of all of us that care about these people that are hurting. They're hurting. And I know with your brilliant minds coming together, there's something we could do. Some way we could help these people, like showers and lockers and maybe a designated area. But if we could just help them and come together and make a list, I know we can make it work. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're at the end of our list, and I'm wondering if one at a time other people would like to come and speak. This is your moment.
Annie Cronin, York, Chair of the Human Rights Commission, 7th Ward. I forgot when I was up here to put in my twice monthly plea for people to apply for Human Rights Commissioner positions, and also sister cities, as they have recently lost their chair, very important member, and they were not full to begin with. And Christine has kept a list of the commissions that need more commissioners and board members, and people just aren't applying. So the people who come here obviously are passionate on the subject, and that is wonderful. But we need people with general passion, I guess, who are willing to help the city to do the jobs of the commissioners and boards. Also, when I was up here before, I failed to mention our brave newest commissioner, Ashley Swanson, who's in the back of the room, who hit the ground running when she got here. She came in, she's prepared, and getting our social media up and running, and making a big contribution. And we also have a commissioner who's retiring at the end of June, and another one who may be because of health issues. So, if you have any friends, neighbors, relatives, you can persuade to come and hang out with us once a month, that'd be fantastic. As for the homeless issue, this is something that I've personally been involved in most of my life. And when my kids were in grade school, I would have them gather up all their friends and get in the back of my Jeep and ride down to the Red Door Church. And they would clean up the room and set up the tables, and their job was to serve the meals. I cooked them. They would go out and give them food, and then go down and sit and talk with them. And the kids who did that have all turned out to be great, productive adults. My daughter went on to be the director of programs for Baltimore City Homeless Services. And I think it's through involvement like that we make a difference. A lot of people there were homeless because of mental illness. And people say, get a job. They can't because they can't hold a job because of mental illness. I also do a lot of abuse and neglect work and domestic violence. It's almost impossible to find placement for a rehab bed or a detox bed even for somebody who's got a drug problem. That's not the fault of the city. The system in general has failed, and a lot of it at state level. Halfway houses are a great idea. We've got empty buildings. But then you have a whole neighborhood of people going around with pamphlets saying, not in my neighborhood. So they're right now, we need to come together as a community, but we also need to be realistic in what we're asking for and what we expect of city council. And it's not all city council's responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else is interested in speaking? All right. If there's not anyone else who's interested in speaking, we are going to close the public portion. Just so you all know, by our protocol, this is not a conversation. We could have a conversation in a different kind of setting, but because this is a formal meeting, that's why this format is that people speak and that individual counselors can make their responses known in their counselor comments at the end of the meeting. So we're going to close this public portion. New business, consideration of approval of a first reading of an ordinance amending Article 365 of the City Code providing for off-street parking. Ask the city manager who you would like to have speak on this.
I can give an overview, and then maybe our city attorney can add to it, if that's
Right.
okay with you. The current ordinance has been on the books for years, and it pertains to the direction that vehicles are allowed to park on off-street parking facilities. The original language said direction facing the meter, which was correct at the time, but single meters, we had single meters back then. Now that we have multiple space meters, the language had to be updated. Therefore, any person using the off-street parking facilities will park their vehicle by pulling it forward into the designated parking spot space so that the vehicle is facing the parking bumper or marked end of the space, and the vehicle is entirely within the designated parking space. That's the change that's made and is being proposed. In addition, our city attorney has updated the payment method to include credit cards in this ordinance. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you, Kim. I think that covers it.
So is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Great. And then is there any questions or discussion? This has already been discussed at the committee of the whole, so.
Last week at Committee of the Whole, we also heard requests for the rates for parking permits and things. Is that going to be brought at a later time before us? That's not in this, right?
Yes, those were proposals that the Executive Director of Parking Authority presented but had not been drafted yet.
Okay.
But based on the presentation and council's input, we'll be working with Dana to put those ordinances together and bring them back to council, presumably at a future committee of the whole.
Just wanted to make sure I didn't miss it in this one.
Yep, that's good to know what's included. Any other questions or considerations? The clerk would call the roll.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Bugon,
Yes.
Bill Kolecki,
Yes.
Weezy Michael,
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull,
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger,
Yes.
Ryan Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Celine.
Yes, passes unanimously. Item B, consideration of approval of a first reading of an ordinance repealing City Code Section 371-10, prohibiting solicitation of persons traveling in vehicles on public rights-of-way. And
Is the chief here?
No, sir.
The chief was going to respond to that. Do you want to go ahead and?
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Kim. Chief Powell had intended to come and describe this ordinance to City Council. It appears he's unavailable. This ordinance would repeal Section 371.10 of the City Code, which prohibits solicitation of money or property from people traveling in vehicles on public rights-of-way. The ordinance was adopted in 2005, and Morgantown Police Department has understood that the intention of the ordinance was to prevent pedestrian vehicle conflicts that could injure pedestrians and to prevent interference with traffic by delaying vehicles that should be traveling according to traffic laws. However, the ordinance specifically addresses solicitation for money or goods. Solicitation for money is speech protected by the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, and public rights-of-way as described in Section 371.10 are generally considered traditional public forums where restrictions on speech have to be as narrow as possible. In brief, the protection against vehicle-pedestrian conflicts and interference with traffic movement should not be legislated by laws addressing particular speech. For that reason, it's recommended that Council adopt the ordinance.
So adopt the ordinance repealing.
That's correct, ma'am.
Great. All right. So, is there a motion? Pardon?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
Thanks. All right. Are there any questions or considerations?
Just a comment, I was hoping to hear the police chief's thoughts on this. I had some questions for him, so I guess that'll have to wait.
If I may.
Yes.
My understanding is that this is in response to the free speech provision. The idea that we're not interfering with somebody's First Amendment rights. But it has nothing at all to do with the fact that we should not enforce traffic violations. Inhibiting traffic or placing pedestrians in harm's way. Although I don't know that this specifically addresses that. That's something that we still will enforce in some manner under some ordinance.
I think that's correct, Counselor. This does not have any effect on traffic laws or other safety provisions of the City Code.
Small consolation. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my understanding this is a necessary thing to do at this time, and that that the considerations that you're talking about are still in force. So, is there any other comments or questions? If the clerk would call the roll.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Buchanan,
Yes?
Bill Kolecki,
Yes.
Weezy Michael,
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull,
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger,
Yes.
Brian Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Celine.
Yes, passes unanimously. Item C, consideration of approval of first reading of an ordinance providing for the zoning reclassification of certain portions of parcels of real estate in the 4th Ward of the City of Morgantown, Tax District 12, Tax Map 15, parcels 94 and 95, commonly known as 362 Creston Avenue from its OI, Office and Institutional District, to R3, Multifamily Residential District, amending Article 1331 of the Planning and Zoning Code of the City of Morgantown, is shown in the exhibit here to attached, and declared to be a part of this ordinance as if the same were fully set forth herein. So, yes, City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. As described by Development Services Director Yeager at the Council's Committee of the Whole, this proposed zoning amendment is done in conjunction with a consolidation of parcels presented to and approved by the Planning Commission. This reclassifies a portion of the newly consolidated property from the Office Institutional District to the R3 zoning classification, which is consistent with the surrounding zoning of property. It was recommended by the Planning Commission, and we recommend Council adopt the ordinance.
All right, is there a motion? Move to approve. Second. Thank you. Any questions or concerns? if the clerk would please call the roll.
Yes, Deputy Mayor Buchanan,
Yes.
Bill Pawecki,
Yes.
Weezy Michael,
Yes.
Danielle Trumbull,
Yes.
Dave Harshbarger,
Yes.
Brian Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Celine.
Yes, passes unanimously. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of items. After a request from the trust, there was an assessment done on the roof of the amphitheater. It was determined that it needed to be replaced, and so funding was provided by the HRNCT, and the amphitheater roof is 80 to 90% complete and should be completed by the end of this month, and in time for the summer concert series. Also, just in terms of an update on the Richwood Development Project, I can report that staff has retained a month or so, a couple months ago, a contractor to do an asbestos study on the properties that are located within that TIF district. And that study is being completed ahead of time. And so the current status is that study is, we're requesting just some clarification on part of that study. That should be completed within a week or two. It's anticipated that once that portion of that additional addendum to the study is completed, that it will be put out to bid. The bid package is being developed as we speak. The bid package will be put out for bid. The anticipation is that the bid will, and this is fairly conservative, and that is that the bid package will be put out and awarded in the end of June, early July, and that construction or the demolition of the structures within that area will begin in August. So just to give you some timeline on that, it is moving forward quite quickly, and I know that the development folks are putting a lot of time into that and making sure that it's properly funded. I know council already recognized the county commission for the use of its county commission chambers. I, as a staff and having worked with our staff, we have really enjoyed working with the county. They've been very accommodating. Their staff have been wonderful. It's been really good to get to know them. And I for one, want to once again express appreciation for their support and what they did for us. Finally, the 2024 paving plan is complete, is just being finalized, and so should be coming out soon for your review. That's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Appreciated. Report from the City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to share once again the Morgantown Police Civil Service Commission will be administering the police officer entry-level testing on Saturday, June 8th at 9 a.m. That will be at the Public Safety Building at 300 Spruce Street. We are still down about 20 officers. Right now we have about 20 applicants, and on average in the last few years, about half of the folks that apply actually show up and take the test, and then half of those that take the test pass the agility and the written, and then we lose more when at the end after the background check. So we really want to push in getting the word out to get some more police officers, some applicants on board. There is an online application if folks want to search the Morgantown Police Department site or the city's website at morgantownwv.gov and search job opportunities. There's a link there to apply online, and once they do that, an automatic letter will go back to them, email will go back to them, and giving them information about the test on June 8th. So I just want to share that information again. We do have hopefully two folks that will be certified by our Police Civil Service Commission here in a week or so. So hopefully we'll be congratulating two new officers onto the force here in a few weeks. So, and again, like City Manager Hawes, I would like to say thanks to the commission, the County Commission, for allowing us to use their facility. It was a nice facility, and the staff was very accommodating, and we do appreciate it. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Report from the City Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I can report that I recently participated in a pedestrian planning committee organized by our engineering department. This committee involves local planning organizations, experts in the field, stakeholders in the community who work with and use pedestrian infrastructure. The committee and the engineers will work on an assessment of current and needed facilities in the community. And this will result in a plan that can be used to support and is needed to support future requests for federal funding to improve that infrastructure. It's been a really great and expert group to work with, so I'm looking forward to those outcomes. That's all I have to report this evening. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Report from council members. Councilor Uppergottom, our Deputy Mayor.
First, thank you for everybody that came in here today and expressing your concerns. It's a fitting way to pursue our new city council in terms of the community coming out and expressing themselves and how we affect their day to day. And thank you also to Ms. Mazzarelli with the organizing of making this building happen. I know that you've been running around back and forth and everywhere in between and wore a lot of different hats to make this all possible. So I really appreciate you, especially taking everybody's input for making this all happen. Also, in the thanks department, I would like to say thank you to Nikki Loffer, because I get to announce that June 24th we will be having a great race in downtown Morgantown. And for those of you that don't know, Nikki Loffer works with a lot of our events, and she's been organizing all the meetings and everything to make this happen. It'll be June 24th, all down High Street with hundreds of classic cars. And last week at the Citizens Academy graduation, we saw her bubbly and spirited personality, which is what she brings to all the meetings, and I just couldn't express my gratitude enough for all that she does with that. And then lastly, June 8th, we have the First Ward Neighborhood Yard Sale. And again, this year, as in years past, we will have a Google map for people to be able to utilize and see where in and around the neighborhood they can find all their different trinkets. And then also, I should add, I would like to express my condolences to Roy's Lee's family for his passing. I caught everybody off guard. And I appreciate you all willing to take that moment of silence today for the part you played in our Sister Cities Commission. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councilor Kowacki.
Well, thank you. I share your admiration for George Lee's. He served as a long-standing contributor to our community. And to the people who addressed us tonight, I assure you that you have our attention. Unfortunately, I wish we had solutions that were immediate, but you do have our attention. We are working on it. And in terms of being here in this building, thank you for all the work that's been done. Still talking about the color of the wood. Other than that, I very much appreciate it. We're back in City Hall. It's been a 2-year hiatus. We call it the People's Building, I think. At least that's what was expressed in the paper. And it crossed my mind, why is something like this important? Why is it important to keep an old building? Well, I think old buildings and restoration and continuance of those buildings are rather an illustration of the story of our community. They somehow give us a touch point that points to our past and lets us be confident that those stories in our community will continue The restoration of these buildings demonstrates our commitment to that future. And I do appreciate the fact that we take that very seriously in this community and we've done good things. And this building certainly demonstrates that. So for all those involved, thank you very much. And that's the end of my report.
Thanks. Councilor Michael?
I have nothing today.
I bet that Councilor Danielle Trumbull does have something today.
I certainly do. Just to address some of the comments during public portion, I do want to make sure everyone is aware that free shower and laundry facilities, I didn't look it up because I didn't expect that to be a topic of discussion, but 4 or 5 days a week, at least in between breakfast and dinner time at Hazel's House of Hope. I believe you can still sign up for those through HealthRight, Christian Help, Salvation Army, and Aspire also helps run those, staffs the day room there. So anyone in the community who is needing shower or laundry facilities, those are available during the week at Hazel's House of Hope, free of charge. You can even reserve, they take walk-ins, but you can reserve a time slot if you want to make sure that it's not full when you get there. The bus line is free. I don't know for how long. I just want to bring to everyone's attention that we are still trying to work through the fact that at the end of June, the bus line to Hazel's House of Hope and Walmart and Scott Avenue may no longer be free. I recently talked to one board member who had no idea any of this situation that was happening, which kind of shocked me. And I talked to another board member who said that maybe they are willing to revisit the idea of property owners and renters free bus passes being able to be transferred to folks who would get the most utilization out of them. So I hope that that's a conversation that can happen, because I'm sure I could walk through my neighborhood and get 100 bus passes donated. I think that would be a good place to start if we can do that. I have been working my behind off through my position on Morgantown Community Resources, which oversees Hazel's House of Hope. We are in active discussions with other organizations who have ran shelters, other places in the state, or at least in this region, trying to find someone who may be willing and able to do so temporarily. I appreciate those of you on council who did chime in when I specifically asked if this Bartlett House conversation was a conversation that we could have. A couple of proposals were made to us, and I appreciate that that's going to be done in an executive session. I appreciate those of you who helped me get that on the agenda, and I appreciate those of you who reached out to me specifically, personally, to say, what's going on? What have you been working on? Because this is, Brian and I can't do it alone, y'all. It would be, and he and I don't even work together on it that much. We kind of come at it from different angles, myself through MCR and Brian through his own channels. But I know that we're both working, and we're both working hard, and we're both working nonstop. I get probably 10 phone calls a day about it, or I make 10 phone calls a day about it, or I attend meetings. I hope that tonight's conversation that we have will be at least the beginning of some more commitment, because it's something that we are all going to have to pull on together and in the same direction. I do think that it would be beneficial to us. I've made a couple of suggestions. I do think we need a meeting with the county and representatives of our other municipalities in the county, because Everyone wants to think that homelessness is a Morgantown problem, but I can tell you, Granville has panhandlers and campers just like we do. People are everywhere, and the other municipalities simply cannot look to us as if we're going to do everything on our own. I would love to see a little bit of commitment, or at least a little bit of concern coming from any of them, frankly. I also have made the suggestion that we put out an RFP for a shelter for the winter, because at this point, Bartlett House is not going to be doing it, and I don't know where anyone thinks anyone is going to go. I have brought this up. The county thought it was a good idea. Several of you thought it was a good idea. Staff thought it was a good idea. Some of the social services thought it was a good idea, but there's no movement on there. It's May. It's going to be here before you know it, and we're not moving. I'll get off my soapbox and say that the last thing, we are also not moving on. For 10 months now, I've been asking for a charter review committee, and 3 months ago, the mayor and the assistant city manager and I had a meeting about it, and we have not brought it up whatsoever since then. So it would be great if anyone on this body were willing to back me up to say, let's look at our charter and some of the things therein that no longer make sense for a city of our size.
Couple of updates, one on MUB. There's not going to be a Morgantown Utility Board meeting this month. That was not needed, but Mike McNulty would like to come to our committee of the whole on May, if possible, to give an update on the Cheat View Public Service District and where that stands and the actions that are being taken right now. So I'd like that to be considered. From Mon River Trail Conservancy, the paving was to begin today from the end of the Arboretum through Star City to the end of the pavement. That'll last through the end of May. It's DOH project, so we're really not clear on the timing of when that might be shut down, but that's to be completed this month. And there was an engineering walkthrough on the placement of 39 light poles last week that would go from from the Waterfront Hotel to the amphitheater. And so 39 light poles are the location of those are being identified. So, I forget the timing on when we hope that to be done, but that is in the works. So that will light up from the amphitheater to the hotel.
Is there funding for that?
Yeah, yeah, it's in place.
Grant.
Grant funding?
Mhm.
Ella wrote.
Yeah, there was some
5
match
year-
involved. I can't remember the amount of the match.
Yeah, 5 years
And the city
ago
may
or
have been a
something?
part of that too with the match.
Like 5 years ago or something?
Yeah, all these generally start 5 to 10 years ago,
Yeah.
as they slowly move forward.
I knew
And
the
we thought-
request- I knew the request was in, I wasn't sure it was funded. Thank you.
Yeah. And lastly, the South Hills Neighborhood Association will have a meeting May 15th, which is next Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Bow Park Marilla Center. And so you all either will or should have a note. If you are able to attend, please feel free. And we've also invited police chief and deputy chief as well. So those are my updates, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Butcher.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody who spoke tonight. The first thing I wanted to say was maybe in response to some of the comments. When I was, and I've talked about it before, so most people already know this, but when I was like 20 years old, I was homeless. I was homeless for about a year. And it was not my fault that I was homeless. I didn't choose to be homeless. I didn't have a job. And it was really hard for me to get a job. And it was made even more difficult because I was living out of a Jeep. And, it was hard to take a shower and find a place to eat and sleep at night without getting arrested or any number of things. And the kind of overbearing weight that the stress of that situation might cause on someone, I think, is something that you cannot understand until you've been through it. And that when you talk down to people as if they need to just fix what's intrinsically wrong with them in order to solve this situation, again, you're coming from a place in which you do not understand their situation. And it's not a situation I wish on anybody. It is the most terrifying thing I've ever been through, even maybe life-threatening situations or things like that, because it's just a low level of terror that you live through every single day as you try to figure out where your next meal is going to come from. And then to speak to like experiences I've had recently, just trying to get people into shelter or off the street, whatever. We had somebody who was criminally trespassed at Sheets, and they were put into jail, and they had a housing appointment the next day, and they were in jail for that appointment. So when I talk about things, how things could be better coordinated with our city services, that's the kind of thing that I mean. Because when we put this person who was about to have an appointment to get themselves into housing into jail, we have not allowed that person to be a productive member of society. Putting them into jail has not brought justice to the Sheets for being criminally trespassed there. All it has done is further place somebody into a spiral. And that is something we could do immediately, is more heavily coordinate with our service providers and people who are in the community, so that we know when we interact with these people that there's an alternative solution that would be much better for literally everyone involved. And that's a situation, one, that I can pull out that just happened recently. I had a couple and their son call me because they were sleeping out of a car. And I personally went and picked somebody up from Ruby Memorial because they couldn't get a ride. And we just don't have a way to solve that particular problem for that person. Maybe not getting a ride from Ruby might sound like a trivial thing, but every single one of these small pressures that we place on the people and don't address creates larger pressures and makes everything harder. When you're poor, having a taillight out and getting pulled over for it can mean a spiral into very, very bad things in your life. And there's a lot of things that we don't address that we could be relieving pressures on. I do have, I guess, for people to understand what I am personally trying to work on, is of course the situation at Bartlett, and I'm glad that we have that meeting tonight. I am eternally grateful for their current board president and how cooperative he has been, and how intentional he has been with that organization and trying to take it into a new day, so to speak. And having conversations with him, the fact that I can even have a conversation with him is great. The city attorney has been really gracious and kind with helping me with a whole bunch of requests that probably take way too much of his time, for things like a homeless court program. He has that to me now. We'll tweak that a little bit, but that's okay. A ban on source of income discrimination, more widespread housing assistance plans. I have sort of a framework for how the city could more closely collect all of its systems to more closely cooperate with service providers as well. I'd also love to look at performance bonding, social impact bonds like the city of Denver had performed before, if we could look at those. That's all to say, like, there's a lot of things we can do in the long term, and I think we should. There's also things that we just could be doing that we're not. We could be, intentionally coordinating every single one of our city departments in order to make sure that when there's a person that has been justice involved or, in addiction services, whatever it might be, or within mental health services, that we're more closely coordinated with them. That we could start today. We could go out and buy lockers as soon as possible. It seems we can move really quickly on certain things, and then other things that we may not consider infrastructure we don't necessarily move on. And again, as Danielle said, like an RFP for a warming shelter, it's beyond time that we should have that. It's going to be difficult right now to get somebody who feels that they're confident in just spin up a project like that. So we should have done it. That's all to say that I feel like, especially since the closing of Bartlett, the enormity of the stress on this system that's in the city has always been there, but it has gotten precipitously worse. And the people in here today that are service providers, I know, are feeling probably a lot more stressed than I am, because I don't do this for a job. And my heart goes out to everybody that's working in this and all the people that are on the street that have to deal with the kind of failures of the social service system, not just in Morgantown, but West Virginia and the country, and as well as our failure to provide adequate housing. But I appreciate anybody who's willing to work on this. I do think that it is frustrating for me that I feel like all I do is have conversations with people who disagree with me or agree with me. And there's a lot of conversations had about me without my involvement about this issue. And I do feel that other members of council should be more intentional about their conversations that they have with the people that are here, and other service providers in the community. I have appreciated when that has happened recently, and I think, for instance, with engaging with Marley to get her kind of policy stuff together and having her put that together for us, but I think that needs to continue to happen, and we all need to be more responsive on this issue. And that will conclude my comments for today.
Thank you. So we all have a lot going on. I guess the thing that I've worked on, if we're wanting to talk about what we've worked on, the thing that I've worked on the most is trying to retain our bus system as far as the free route to Bartlett House and other entities on Scott Avenue and the Walmart. And so the thing that I can do as mayor is usually people will talk to me, so I can talk to people at the bus system, talk to people at H3, talk to people, county commissioners, and work toward that. I think that people are upset because of the cost of the route, and I think that some of the solutions that have been discussed this evening and other solutions that people have been talking about need to be brought to bear, and that's something that's needs to happen very soon. So it is difficult right now because without Bartlett House or without an entity such as covering the emergency shelter, puts us all in a difficult place. And so we're trying to methodically work through that as a group. I know that a request for proposals for a winter shelter is something that has been requested and something that has been is actually being worked on. So it's not something that has fallen through the cracks. So I guess what's happening now from where I sit is lots of just working on basics. And I do appreciate people who have sent ideas that are concrete and have action steps toward them. As you say, some people agree with other people, some people don't want certain things, some people want certain things, certain places, but not others. So we need to sort out the things that we can do and move forward on those. And there are some, not necessarily simple things, but there are some things that need to happen way sooner than later. So I think those are being worked on now. Some of the things that are more coordinating in nature are much harder because there are lots of different groups doing lots of different things. I've had different people tell me how many groups that they've referenced, and so if people have ways that we can work together on a system where people are actually being registered and information is shared, that would be great, and that's the kind of thing that needs to happen as we move forward for sure. Other than that, this is definitely not my expertise, but I am not without experience. But not, I have never been homeless, and I have not worked in a homeless shelter, but I have worked victim and witness assistance at the courthouse. I participated in mediations in magistrate court in a volunteer program where we did lots of tenant, landlord-tenant type of cases, and also the particular church that I attend has fed people, and I've sat down and talked with people through that. So and I think that when I think through each person here, people have various experiences that are not, may not directly pertain, but are pretty dang close. So I just wanted to not push off solutions to this issue on the members of council that are particularly active, but kind of recognize expertise, and that until we hit this last bit here, I think that some of that was working well, and now that we are have several crises on our hands, obviously we need more all hands on deck. So I have seen this group rise to many occasions, and I would expect nothing less now. But any way that people can work together rather than bashing each other in various forums would be greatly appreciated. Any kind of respect that's shown back and forth is often reciprocated, particularly with regard to our staff who are not, they're in political type of positions just by virtue of working for a city, but they didn't necessarily ask to get all of the just clashing. The more that we can work together, the more we'll accomplish. That's what I have to say for this evening. So thank you all for coming. Appreciate everyone's position. Anybody want to read us into executive session? Yeah.
I move pursuant to West Virginia State Code Section 6-9A4B9 to discuss matters relating to acquisition and development of real estate in the second ward. In addition to pursuant to West Virginia Code Section 6-9A4B12 to discuss matters protected by attorney-client privilege. In addition to pursuant to West Virginia State Code Section 6-9A4B9 to discuss matters related to acquisition and development of real estate in the downtown area of the city of Morgantown, go into executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. All in favor? Here we go. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
We gonna go to the back conference room?
Yeah. We're going to go to the back conference room. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, take a break.